All right, let's get another video done here. These videos, last couple of videos have been about classes. We have learned about the objects, uh, that classes are object-oriented programming, and that classes can have attributes and methods in them. The next thing that was up was constructors. So let's get started into that. Like normal, W3 schools on the right side, VS Code is on the left side there. We're using W3 schools to help us discover this stuff. Um, this is the code we had for the last video right here, which will probably end up changing here in a minute. So C++ constructors. Constructors. A constructor is a special method that is automatically called when an object of a class is created. To create a constructor, use the same name as the class followed by parentheses. So if you were paying attention in the last video I made, when I was creating methods, I was missing the class name out of the method I was creating when I was creating it outside the class. That way the programmer compiler would know that the function belonged inside the class, but we were declaring it inside the class and giving it a definition outside the class. So we have an example here. Let's see what constructors are all about. Again, the definition here, I'm going to go and write this down so hopefully it sticks in the memory a little bit better. So, constructor is a special, what's so special about it? Method that is automatically called when an object of a class is created. Okay. It's not so much for you to see and stuff, it's more for me to try to memorize it because it's not only me of seeing it, the message up there of what a constructor is, but I'm also typing it. So, again, all this stuff I'm discovering, but I'm also trying to learn, not educating so much because I'm not an educator. Maybe I'm more of trying to help inspire people, help people understand, so forth, so on. But no, I'm not really a good educator. So, some people may think I am, and that's perfectly fine. The point of all this is to share my journey of learning C++. So, again, we got an example here. Let's go ahead and get this example started on. So let's clear out this code. Here, we're going to clear it all out. Even the class up here. Okay. I'm going to start out with a class. Give it a name, my class, again. Get our curly brackets in there, get some public, get some methods and stuff built for our class here. Okay, so my class again inside of my class, parentheses, and curly brackets again, and then output hello world. Okay, and then don't forget at the end of the class you have to put the semicolon there to tell the compiler that's the end of the class. And then for the main we have my class, and then my object just being declared, and that's pretty much it. All right, so we got some comments here, so let's go ahead and add the comments here. We've seen these comments before though. So this is the class. Uh, this right here is the access specifier, which we haven't still fully covered this part yet, but and then we got our first constructor right here. And then down here, I'm going to put this actually above this. So another comment, create an object of my class. And then in parentheses, this will call the constructor. Okay, save it right there. So it looks like we have, it almost looks like another function, but it's not. So this is the difference between a function and a constructor. A constructor is basically calling itself and then outputting it inside a class. And down here in the main, you are just simply calling the class. So is this runnable code or not? There's one easy way to find out. Run it. Yep, it's runnable code because it prints something out. So it looks like this is calling the my class, which is up here. It runs through this. It sees this right here, which is calling itself to output that right there. Yes. Let's see if it has some a little bit more explanation of this. Because it tells us how to create it. It tells us what it is, but it doesn't really have a whole lot of details there as to what it's currently doing. So constructor rules. The constructor has the same name as the class. Okay, yes. It has no return type, not even void. So it's not no void in there. And it's not returning anything back. This is just outputting something. It is usually declared public, which is why it's under public. So far, everything we've done, though, is under public. So I guess when we discover what public is about and stuff, then we'll understand why this is below public, or why anything else we've done so far is below public. It is automatically called when an object is created. So this is the object. So when we create the object, we are automatically calling it. And I'm guessing that this right here can literally be anything. So instead of just my object, you have call, and it would still work. We can have video. It wouldn't be really describing a whole lot, but yes, it would still work. In this case, I think I would, even though this is an object, I think I would actually specify this as being a constructor. Because that's, I mean, that's all we're doing. We're just calling the constructor, which is this right here. Save it and still works. All right, moving on. Constructor with parameters. Constructors can also take parameters just like regular functions, which can be useful for setting initial values for attributes. I don't think it said anything about a constructor being an actual attribute or method. I don't see it anywhere in there. The following class has brand, model, year attributes, and a constructor for different parameters inside the constructor. We set the attributes equal to constructor parameters, brand equals X, etc. When we call the constructor by creating an object of the class, we pass parameters to the constructor which will set the value of the corresponding attribute to the same. So this right here is even complicated to understand what it's actually saying without seeing it. And that's I think that's just simply because of how complicated this code is kind of getting for a beginner to understand, because of what all is going on here. So let's move right into the example here. I'm going to go ahead and remove uh, all these comments here. It's got comments in it, and I'm not going to put them in here because it's just redundant, repeated comments. By this point in time, we kind of pretty much understand. I had this one down here to understand constructors. All right, that cleans up the code a little bit there. So in this one right here, we're going to change this right here, but we're not going to change it just yet. In fact, we're going to add some stuff to this. So we're going to have standard string brand. Declare that as a attribute. So we're going to have another standard string model. Declare that one. An integer year. Looks like we're going to do cars again. So we got that one declared. And then we're going to change the name of the class to car, which I should have seen that before, but I didn't until just now. Then we're going to change the constructor name to car to fit. And then we're going to get inside these parentheses and add some, what did it call these? Parameters? Yes, parameters. So standard string X, standard string Y, and then integer Z. So this is our constructor with parameters. We're going to get rid of this because we're no longer going to be using an output. So we got brand is X, declared model is Y, declared, and year is Z, declared. So as you can tell right here, this constructor right here is taking the variables from the attribute and set them to the values of X, Y, and Z. Now we need to go into the main, I believe. Yep, looks like we're going to go into the main now. And we're going to go ahead and get rid of this code right here because we don't no longer needed it either. And we got a comment here. I'm going to go ahead and mark this comment in here. So create car objects and call the constructor with different values. So the first one is going to be car, car object 1, and then set our arguments in here for the parameters. So the first one's going to be BMW again, which we've used before. Oops, not the end. And it's going to be X5, and then 1999. And then in that one, and go to the next one. So car again, car object 2, parentheses for the arguments, and then Ford, Mustang, and 1969 for the integer. So that gives us both of our objects. Most of the time, in most cases, we do car and then object, and then we are setting values for all the attributes. In this case, we're not doing that. We are setting the attributes and letting the class do all the work for us. So, like in my challenge that I had here, which this is the challenge I was going to do. I was going to have something set up for a function and stuff. So initially, this challenge right here, I am actually doing it in this other one. But instead of creating a function, we're going to use a constructor. So this challenge actually, with this example, will actually be completed at this point in time. Because instead of creating a function, I'm creating a constructor to do the same thing that a function would do. So that's something I didn't realize I was going to end up doing. Where I was going to simplify this with all the commons, I'm not going to do that no more. So this right here will absolutely be redundant to do since I'm doing that in this example right here with less code. You notice, I mean, we got the common denominators and stuff, so we're figuring out that the constructor would do all the work that I was going to do in that challenge right there for me now. So, next part is just basically printing a comment right here for print values, and then the standard outputs. So car object1 dot brand with a space, car object1 still dot model. Forgetting something there. In fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and, so it doesn't run off the page here. Car object1 dot model. Car object1 dot year. And then, yep, new line. And then output the other one. Standard output car object 2 dot brand. What's missing out of that? Ah, that's why it's not working. See how I'm forgetting things. Okay. Space there, and next line, tab. I was wondering why it wasn't giving me the short way of doing that. Not insert car object 2 dot model space car object 2 dot year and new line, and then in that one as well. Okay, then save it. So yes, this right here actually completes the challenge for me. Now the only other thing I could actually do is I guess I can create another constructor that will actually output all these. So all I have to do is call it at that point in time. So if I wanted to finish up my challenge, I could simply put in, oops, car, yes, I may have to look at the other example there for a minute. Let's see if I can do it without it. And then the standard output right here for the two different ones. And then at that point in time, all I would have to actually do is put car.car or car.car object 1, car.car object 2 down here, sort of thing. In fact, let's see here. Before I go and do all that, let's go ahead and run this code real quick. Save it, run it, and we should have those two cars printed up. Yes. Clear that out. Like I said, if I wanted to finish up that challenge I was going to start on, car, I believe that this would work right here. And take this one right here, move it up to here. No, because it would end up calling. I think I would have to change something else too. I'm just not sure what. Because if I call car and stuff, it's going to call this right here. So I need something else in there, probably dot object 2, but I'm not sure. Let's see here. It's only been 20 minutes. Are we actually done with these examples? No, we got more to go. Okay, so I'm not going to get into this right here because if I don't get it done, I don't want to be spending an hour sitting here trying to figure it out how to do it with discovering more. But yes, I'm sure there's a way you can actually do it and stuff to where uh, you can have it loop back into the class and stuff and have the class actually call it all out. Um, so yeah, that is constructors with parameters. I don't have all the code in there anymore because I deleted it, but that's fine. Um, Moving on to the next part. So the next part would be constructors defined outside the class. So I guess this would be the same way as what we had before, where we have the colon right there. We take this right here and move it to the outside of the class like this. Give it some space. Now I'll just go ahead and leave it like that. I'm not going to get too in detailed with that. Have this, actually have all this right here. Control copy, paste. Oops, that was the wrong thing. I don't even know what I did there. Hit the wrong button. Exit that. Delete that. Enter. Yep, delete. There we go. Control copy. Got that declared now. The only other thing I need to add in here is car. No, it's not right there. My bad. It doesn't go right there. It would go here, but we need to get rid of that and then add this right here. Car. Yep. And then I would need to add again the second part to this down here, standard output. Actually here, it's doing all that. Let's go ahead and take this, copy it, paste it, delete, clear up one space, change this to 1, 1, 1, save, and let's verify that this looks the same as the new example we got here. Because we understand the whole inside of outside of a class with functions. So we're kind of just doing the same thing, except for we're putting the constructor on the outside this time. So it should look pretty well identical. Got car, class, car, public, all of our attributes. The declaration right there, but no definition. They did change a couple things. Oh, no, they didn't change anything. They have the strings right there. I just have standards. So that's what I was thinking was different. And then after that, they have the constructor defined outside the class, just like I do, with all three right there. And the bottom code didn't change at all. So when we go to run the program, we still get the same thing. Yes. So, and then a little section right here afterwards. So why are constructors, why constructors are so useful? Constructors run by themselves when they are created, when you create an object. So the difference between a constructor and a function inside of a class would be this right here is actually calling them, but it's setting the parameters for it. Actually, no, it's not calling them. Yeah, it's calling them and setting parameters for it, and then we're just outputting it right here. We don't have an output up here. If we had the outputs up here, then it would do it there. In the previous example, up here, this example right here, we called it, and the output was already up there. Since we don't have the output in the constructor this time, we have the output in the main function. Okay, so yeah, constructors run by themselves when they are created. When you create an object, they set things up so everything is ready right away. So yes, that, like I said, that pretty much completes the challenge I was going to do. So no, now I no longer have to really do the challenge unless I want to put this inside the constructor itself. So think of it like this: when you order a pizza, which would be the object, the constructor is the chef who adds the sauce, cheese, and whatnot toppings you get. You don't have to do it yourself. So that's an analogy, I guess. Yeah. All right, moving on. So I think we're gonna end the video right there. You kind of see how it works and everything. There's no challenge on the end of that one right there. So our next video is going to be C++ constructor overloading. If you remember right with functions and stuff, when we overloaded a function, we had multiple things going into one thing, I think, sort of thing. But we're going to get a refresher course on that. So yes, this is me discovering constructors right here, how they are very similar to functions and work pretty well the same inside or outside the class. And then the fact that the one thing I did discover is the fact that you can call constructors as soon as you make the object. So if there's an output in the constructor, it'll output it. If there's not, it'll set variables for it and you can output it somewhere else. Where functions will not work that way. They can call something, but you have to call the function itself. And if it's in the class, you have to set the class and the function name together to get it to call. So again, that'll be the end of it for this video. If you like the video, click the like button. If there's something I said that needs correction, don't hesitate to put a comment in there to correct myself. I imagine that late in the future, I have no idea when, but C++ will probably end up changing things, and so what I am saying may not be true anymore in the future because of stuff that they change in C++. But for now, this is the way it is. If you have any questions or comments, leave them there. That's what the comments are for, and I will see you next time.